What are you doing? Some people can't stay out of their own way. Chennedy Carter is about to end her own damn time in Las Vegas. You just got back in the league. You just got...
That raw frustration echoing in the background isn't just noise. It is the unmistakable, catastrophic sound of a professional athlete actively sabotaging her own career in real time. We are literally witnessing an unprecedented, self-inflicted collapse, marking one of the most baffling and unforced blunders in recent WNBA history. This isn't just a misstep. It's a career-altering disaster unfolding right before our eyes, proving that some of the toughest opponents these players face are completely of their own making.
Responded and said, not to mention I made her ankle touch the ground, but y'all can holler at me when my leash is off too. It's completely unfair, even though statistically wise, it's not even close. Y'all can holler at me. Y'all can holler at me when my leash is off.
The Las Vegas Aces stepped up and threw a massive lifeline to a player absolutely nobody else in the league would touch, offering an incredibly rare second chance that should have been met with absolute gratitude. Instead of capitalizing on this loyalty, she is out here actively detonating the locker room on social media for the entire world to see. It is a reckless, scorched-earth betrayal of the one organization willing to back her, turning a golden opportunity into an absolute circus in real time.
The Las Vegas Aces gave you a chance. You are on a minimum contract. Think about that. As good as you are, you averaging damn near 20 a game off the bench. Off the bench. You've been the second best player on the Aces. You've been better than Jackie Young, better than Chelsea Gray, better than Jewel Lloyd. You are better than everybody on that team basically at this point.
But we have to pause and demand the absolute truth behind this chaos. How exactly did a seemingly random digital shouting match escalate into such a catastrophic, high-stakes breaking point? You need to look incredibly closely at the precise, toxic phrasing buried in that social media crossfire, because the devil is entirely in the details. This wasn't a minor misunderstanding. It was a calculated, hyper-aggressive exchange where every single word was weaponized completely towards her remaining credibility.
That's great sportsmanship. However, you need to make that who you are. Going on a rant about a rookie with a huge brand who literally smiles and hugs her opponents and has never talked trash, won't even give us slight selly, doesn't help showcase the side of who you are, which is the brand that you need to promote to help your pockets. You're incredibly gifted. Stay out of your own way. And you know who liked this comment? A'ja Wilson.
Complaining about being on a leash is no offhand remark. It is a direct, undeniable shot at the entire coaching staff. Chennedy Carter is publicly claiming that her minutes and her statistical power are being artificially restricted and suppressed by the exact same front office that threw her a lifeline when the rest of the league turned its back. This isn't just venting. It is a high-stakes, public rebellion against the very people who salvaged her career, threatening to completely torch the delicate trust required to survive in a championship culture.
You going at AZ Fudd. AZ Fudd, for the most part, is loved throughout this league. UConn Mafia, you got to understand what's going on. It's UConn Mafia. Okay? She's dating a popular player who's pretty much liked a lot in this, loved a lot in this league too, who's also UConn Mafia. AZ Fudd, for whatever, she's not a hostile person. She's comes off very sweet, very nice. So for you to be picked.
What is truly mind-blowing is that mere weeks before this online meltdown unfolded, the narrative surrounding Chennedy Carter was completely flipped. The entire basketball world was singing her praises, universally hyping her up as the absolute steal of the offseason, a weapon providing crucial, instant offense for an elite championship roster. Insiders were calling this the ultimate redemption arc for a player who had been completely frozen out of the league for an entire season. In a matter of days, she managed to completely derail that hard-earned momentum, transforming a triumphant comeback story into a chaotic, self-inflicted disaster.
And she's going to find herself back out of the league. Chennedy Carter, you got to get yourself together, man. You got a great opportunity with the Aces. You've been balling. You've been the second best player on that team. The talent, nobody can display, can argue the talent of Chennedy Carter. But the temperament and the locker room circus that she brings, A lot of teams don't.
This is not some isolated observation or a random hot take. The advanced offensive efficiency metrics prove that Chennedy Carter has been the single most potent weapon coming off the Las Vegas bench this entire season, utterly destroying the value of her unprotected training camp contract. But launching an online attack against head coach Becky Hammon reveals a catastrophic misunderstanding of the Aces' internal power structure, where Hammon commands absolute, unquestioned authority as the architect of their championship culture. Challenging her on minutes and rotations isn't just bad optics. It is a fatal misread of who holds the cards, especially when megastar like Aya Wilson steps in to draw a permanent line in the sand. By deliberately liking a comment telling Carter to stay out of her own way, the two-time MVP transformed a petty internet beef into a unified locker room stance, executing a highly calculated strategic move that demands absolute personal accountability. To make matters worse, picking an unprovoked fight with the immensely powerful UConn alumni network demonstrates a staggering lack of self-awareness regarding WNBA business realities, especially when players like Azzi Fudd and Paige Buchers represent the next massive era of league marketing, media power, and television viewership. They possess absolutely massive, intensely dedicated fan bases and pristine public images, meaning that dragging these highly marketable, university-like stars into a petty, unprovoked social media mudslinging contest forces league executives and major broadcast partners into a high-stakes corner they completely refuse to be in. This bizarre controversy is more than likely the absolute final chapter of a professional career in the United States, driven by the brutal, unforgiving mathematics of a strict WNBA salary cap and its ultra-exclusive 144 roster spots. In an environment of such extreme scarcity, front offices have zero tolerance for players who constantly disrupt team chemistry, regardless of their individual scoring talent, rendering a minimum contract asset who creates endless public relations headaches and instant, glaring liability. This exact pattern of behavior is precisely why she was completely frozen out of the entire 2023 season, echoing July 2021, when the Atlanta Dream suspended her indefinitely for conduct detrimental to the team following a severe locker room altercation with Courtney Williams. Despite being drafted 4th overall in 2020 and becoming the youngest player in league history to drop 30 points in a game, Atlanta willingly walked away from a generational offensive talent because the daily friction was entirely unmanageable. When the Los Angeles Sparks stepped in to salvage her career in 2022, hoping a change of scenery would mature her approach, the experiment crashed yet again as interim head coach Fred Williams permanently benched her for poor conduct, leading to her being completely waived from the roster, a spectacular failure that every single general manager across the league meticulously noted. The overwhelming consensus across WNBA front offices was that the exhausting emotional toll of managing her volatile personality heavily outweighed the 20 points she could potentially spark off the bench on any given night. Which brings us right back to this explosive breaking point with the Las Vegas Aces. Given that extensive historical baggage, signing her to a training camp deal was widely viewed as an incredibly high-stakes, maximum-risk gamble by Becky Hammon, especially for a back-to-back championship team built on deeply entrenched veteran leadership and a sophisticated system that completely rejects erratic, isolation hero ball. The Aces only took a flyer on her because they believed their championship culture was resilient enough to absorb and neutralize her toxic tendencies. But by publicly complaining about being on a leash, she is loudly validating every single negative scouting report written about her over the past 4 years. For a player sitting on an unprotected, non-guaranteed minimum contract worth roughly $64,000, making aggressive public demands about offensive freedom and minutes is a stunning, career-ending miscalculation of actual leverage. The direct involvement of Aya Wilson completely elevates this drama into a full-blown franchise crisis. As the undisputed face of the league, Wilson's deliberate endorsement of a comment criticizing her teammates' professionalism sent a blaring signal to upper management that when it comes down to a foundational cornerstone versus a minimum deal bench asset, the front office will side with their superstar 100% of the time. Furthermore, unprovokedly antagonizing collegiate superstars like Azzi Fudd and Paige Buchers online actively alienates the millions of dedicated new fans and lucrative brand partnerships the WNBA relies on for future media growth. This entire fiasco exposes a harsh, unforgiving business realities of the league's collective bargaining agreement, which grants front offices the ultimate power to sever ties with non-guaranteed players for conduct detrimental to the team with zero salary cap penalty. And a blatant public attack on a legendary head coach easily satisfies that contractual threshold for instant termination. Pure, raw talent might punch your ticket on draft night, but high emotional intelligence and unyielding professionalism are the actual, tangible tools that guarantee long-term survival in this league. The brutal reality of modern professional sports is that you can easily be the most gifted, unstoppable bucket getter in the entire gym. But if your day-to-day presence demands nonstop, exhausting damage control from the team's media relations department, your statistical output on the hardwood becomes completely and utterly irrelevant. The Las Vegas Aces are actively locked in on executing a historic, monumental three-peat championship run, meaning they possess zero time, zero energy, and absolutely no desire to manage the fragile ego of a bench asset spending her free time fighting with college stars on the internet. The moment a front office definitively determines that the relentless public relations headache completely outweighs the on-court production, the paperwork to waive her will be processed without a single second thought. So, I have to turn this over to you. Knowing her volatile history of team suspensions and dramatic locker room disruptions, did the Las Vegas Aces make a massive, foreseeable mistake bringing her into training camp in the first place? Or was a potential upside of her generational scoring talent genuinely worth risking this inevitable disaster? Drop your honest verdict in the comments below. And make sure you smash that subscribe button for more high-intensity deep dives into the wild, high-stakes dynamics of the WNBA.